I've got my Creole spice. Gotta have that in the kitchen. Forgot something. The secret ingredient. All right, so we are making everyone's favorite fried chicken. I love a good crispy fried wing, and don't judge me, but my favorite part of the wing is the tip. I don't know, it's just something about like running my teeth across that little like piece of, I don't know, it's not even meat, but it's just so good. So anyway, let's get into this recipe. All right, so we have our chicken wings here. We have our herbs and spices here. Of course, we have to have Whren sugar and spice Creole seasoning. This seasoning is made by hand. It's mixed up with some nice spices and a few herbs, a little salt to balance everything. I make it by hand because I tend to not like to use like the seasonals and different spice mixes, because you just can't gauge how much salt is actually in those seasonings. But with this one, you can, and you can actually make your own at home. I'll tell you all how to do that later. But in the meantime, go to my website and order the Creole seasoning. Everyone loves this stuff. It's like magic on your food. So here we go. Again, we have our chicken, we have our spices, and we have our secret ingredient, which is pickle juice. Pickle juice will take your fried chicken from good to amazing. It mixes well with all your seasoning. That flavor that's inside the pickle juice, along with like that brininess of the pickle juice, will kick your flavors up by a million. Trust me on this. It also tenderizes the chicken as you marinate it, and it just adds like an extra hint of flavor in the background. So let's get into it. So the way I like to do it, I'm only doing about 10 chicken wings today, so I don't need that much pickle juice. So I have about 2 cups roughly of pickle juice in my bowl, and I'm going to season. And it may seem like a lot of seasoning, but it really isn't. We're just adding layers of flavor onto the pickle juice. So I'm gonna add some kosher salt. I always season with kosher salt. I'm going in with some lemon pepper. Don't be afraid to season your food. Just be sure that you aren't overdoing it with the salt. That's granulated onion. We're gonna go in with some smoked paprika, just for that smoky flavor. I'm gonna get into the granulated garlic. You must have granulated garlic in your kitchen. It's a must. And of course, the Whren Creole spice. We're gonna add that in for some good flavor. I'm gonna put a touch of all-purpose seasoning in it. You know, the red stuff, we all have it in our kitchens. Don't lie, you got it. Even if you say you don't use it, we all do. This is just a yummy seasoning blend that I like. It's salt-free, so that goes in. And then I put in a little packet. We all know what packet is too. So just a little. A little goes a long way. So add that in, and we're gonna give it a mix. You wanna mix the pickle juice and seasoning until everything melts together and kind of dissolves in your bowl. And you always check for seasoning. So we don't have any raw ingredients in the bowl, so I'm just gonna go in with a little spoon and I'm gonna taste. I think it's delicious. I'm just gonna add a teeny bit more salt. If you season your brine properly, you don't have to add any additional seasoning to your actual flour. But this is completely customizable and you can make it the way that you want. So into a large Ziploc bag, I'm gonna add my chicken. I used to hate touching chicken when I was younger. It used to freak me out. I'm gonna add the chicken in. One dirty hand, one clean hand. Always when handling raw meat. With my clean hand, I'm going to add in my pickle juice. I'm gonna pour it all in. And we're going to close up the bag. Make sure you close it tight. Remove the air. And I just let it move around a bit so that all the chicken gets covered. And typically, I marinate the chicken overnight if possible for the best possible flavor. But if you don't have time to marinate your chicken, it's perfectly fine. You can let it sit in the fridge for about 10 to 20 minutes before you cook it. And if you don't have that much time because you're really hungry and you're trying to get something quick on the table or make a quick midnight snack, you can just add the whole bag with some of the liquid to your flour or add the flour to the bag and it'll still pick up the flavor and carry it through to the finish. So we've gotten our chicken marinated and we're going to get it into the flour and into our hot grease. Now let me tell you something about the grease. The grease is heated roughly to about between 330 and 325. I like to cook my chicken, fry my chicken on a lower setting so that it cooks all the way through and it gets like super crispy and has all those crunchy bits. You won't achieve that at a higher temperature. You may get a nice outer coating, like a nice brown outer coating, and then the inside typically is raw. When you cook it at a higher temperature, we want to cook it all the way through and we want all those nice crispy bits. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna double dip our chicken in the flour. So this, my friends, is magic. You cannot fry really good chicken without a brown paper bag. I know you see them at the stores. When you see them, make sure you grab them and keep a little stock in your pantry so that when you go to fry chicken or you fry fish, you get a nice, yummy, crispy coating that can only be achieved using a brown paper bag. So we're going to go into our bag. You don't have to use tongs for this. You can use gloves, you can use a fork, or you can use your bare hands. Just ensure that you keep your hands clean at all times. So we're gonna go into our flour. And as I said before, if you season your brine very well, then you don't have to worry about seasoning the flour. But you can get as creative as you'd like here. If you want a little extra seasoning in your flour, go for it. but you don't have to because we built flavor and we've infused it with the pickle juice. So getting them all in. And try not to overcrowd your bag. All the goodness, all of it. I'm gonna use my hands for this part, because guess what? Kitchen. So, I'm gonna take the chicken, we're gonna dip it in brine, and add it back to the flour. This is a double fridge. Everything is raw and uncooked, so you're perfectly safe to do the double dredge in your marinade. It's gonna give you a nice crispy crunch on the chicken. And build extra flavor. This also is a good method to use if you haven't had the time to brine your chicken or marinate your chicken overnight or for that 30 minutes that I mentioned earlier. This is gonna grab on to all that extra flavor. This is another reason why you really don't have to season your flour, because if you have extra seasoning from the marinade. You see this piece of skin right here? That's gonna be amazing. It's fun. One dirty hand, one clean hand. You probably see your grandma or your mama do this. Get that flour coated on there. And with that same dirty hand, I'm gonna go in, make sure we're coated well. With our flour, make sure it gets all the nooks and crannies of your wings. Perfect. You see that? All those cracks and crevices. That's magic. That's what we want. And we're going into the fire. Our chicken came out amazingly beautiful, nice and crispy and crunchy. So now all we have to do is add a little magic to it. So this is hot honey. So my favorite hot sauce mixed with a little bit of honey. And we're gonna go in and add it to our chicken. There's only one thing left to do. We must eat our feelings. Can you hear that crunch? Y'all gotta make this. Enjoy.